Does this sound hurt your ears? Well, maybe it shouldn't. Welcome to Watch Mojo, and today we'll be taking a look at the widely criticized art of auto-tune during the 2000s, and why it might not be quite as bad as you think. If you're as nostalgic about the 2000s as we are, be sure to click on the iCard popping out in the upper right, or the link below to get our magazine of the top 100 music videos of the 2000s. If you weren't yet born, or living under some sort of early internet rock, you may have never heard the smooth sounds of autotune, which took the music world by storm in the mid to late 2000s.
'Cause when I leave for the night, I ain't coming back.
Created in 1997 by a company called Antares Audio Technologies, the device's initial purpose was to subtly correct the faults in a singer's voice, mostly those singers that can't quite hit certain notes.
Anything you say and this sing it goes.
What began as a major advancement in recording technology would soon become one of the most divisive sounds of the modern music scene. Of course, artists would go on to use it in other ways, but more on that later. The effect's early uses can be found in songs like Cher's Believe and Daft Punk's One More Time, the latter of which helped popularize the effect's association with the term robot voice. Of course, autotune wouldn't reach its peak until the biggest names in pop and hip-hop were using it to their advantage. While pop stars such as Britney Spears were using it to easily disguise off-key singing, there was a counter-movement that was actually doing something interesting with the new tool. Most commonly known as the face of autotune, T-Pain notoriously used the effect to create several of his hits, including Buy You a Drank, Shouty Snappin', and Chopped and Screwed. Of course, no artist would be able to top the heights of famous trendsetter Kanye West, who experimented with its use in various electropop and R&B tinged beats on 808s and Heartbreak, which turned the mainstream music landscape on its head in its own right. There was a large amount of criticism that came with all artists' use of the vocal enhancement. While it's certainly justified that people were upset that their favorite pop stars were using autotune out of laziness to hide their vocal imperfections, there's most definitely an argument to be made about those artists that use the device as a way to distinguish their own style in the same way that a unique musical instrument would. Take T-Pain, for example, who many saw as talentless. Since he relies so heavily on the effect to construct his sound, many assumed that he lacked any real singing ability. Well, to any autotune haters, we give you T-Pain, Saw's robot voice, courtesy of NPR's Tiny Desk.
I can't let you trick me under this table. She keeps taking shots to the head, and I know that I can't keep up.
You see, now that you know that T-Pain can sing, you can see his use of the effect a little bit differently. Take a song like Buy You a Drank, for example.
Yeah, I'ma buy you a drink. Whoa.
T-Pain could easily have sung the song normally and used his true vocal chops, but it was this idea of pushing boundaries and attempting to set a trend that would come to be heavily associated with the decade that made him stand out among similar hip-hop artists of the time.
And you just wanna let her know who you are.
It's the same idea as Drake's dancehall-infused One Dance, creating a slew of imitators after it became the #1 song in the country. With this, autotune can be seen as the sound of a generation. The turn of the 21st century saw music branching out to create so many niches and subgenres with the rise of things like indie rock, emo, and countless electronic subgenres that the music industry was looking for a mainstream sound to latch onto. As everyone and their uncle had at least something to say about this new technology, it became the new sound that popular music could call its own.
All that we ever do is play in the sheets.
Take into consideration the music of past decades. The 60s had the electric guitar, the 70s had disco, and the 80s had the introduction of electro-synth instrumentation. While we're certainly still in the era of autotune right now, in years' time, many people will look back on the sound as a style that was truly their own. Similar to how many have embraced disco, despite it being seen as an embarrassing period for many years.
Disco stars!
It's also hard to argue with the device's influence on pop culture and the sheer amount of parodies that stem from it. From Auto-Tune the News to I'm on a Boat,
Never thought I'd be on the phone.
Saturday Night Live,
Robot voice, all of the kids love the robot voice.
to Bo Burnham, it seems like everyone was well aware of the pros and cons of the sound and wanted to get in on the joke. As for where autotune stands in the 2010s, it seems that the discussion over whether its use is right or wrong has sort of died down.
Take me out to the ballgame.
While the debate has seemingly ended, autotune's use in music is still very much alive, with its use in pop music remaining subtle while remaining a major factor in the world of modern hip-hop. Want more from WatchMojo? Check out other great clips on our YouTube channel and be sure to take a look at our magazine of the top 100 music videos of the 2000s.